Hi, aloha. This is Kealohilani Leleo, or best known as Kealohi. And here is my skills and disposition reflection, based on my two classes, Ed 520 and Ed 675. So one thing about these classes were definitely, um, I would say it was a challenge. Um, it was a challenge more so in the mindset. I had to come from a mindset that truly reflects a coach rather than a teacher. Um, Going through from the master's program and then into this certification has allowed me to really switch the mindset. Um, that I knew I always had, but I didn't really activate it as much because, being a teacher myself and not really being in the role of a coach yet was something that I was not ready for. I felt like at the time I was not ready for, especially for me, being a beginner educator. I knew for a fact that I know that it would take me a while to be in a coach or be seen as a coach in my school or within the state, possibly, unless otherwise. But I still continue wanting to learn and continue still wanting to just be prepared or at least have that mindset and really have that connection and understanding that my own coaches go through every single day when they come to my class, when they are working with other coaches, and also to just to understand the people who truly support us, who's been teachers in the classroom and now are, I like to call them teachers teacher, where they're the teachers who teach teachers how to be better teachers. And so that was my thing. But there definitely a shift in the way my mindset was because it wasn't fully about the students. I had to keep the teacher in mind as well. Um, in other words, I went from the mindset of, okay, yes, it's student-centered, student learning. However, I had to remind myself that it's also student-centered teaching. I had to think from a perspective of someone who's outside of the classroom, looking into someone who is doing student learner. And so that really helps me a lot to really think about and possibly the goals that I possibly want in life. And also, ever since I went through the program, the master's program, it's honestly that has been my goal is to eventually become a coach or someone who really advocates for student-centered practices, student-centered learning, rather, shall I say? Because I find that it's so much better. And even though like my school does focus a little on it in a way, but they still do it where the teacher is still in control rather than students taking it completely over or um, just giving things because it may seem a lot of work, which it is, to be honest, but students also can be great teachers. Um, and so those are the things that really, like for example, Ed 520 challenged me to really think about formative assessments or the ways assessments run in general. It really made me think about my practice. Am I going into the practice of somebody becoming student-centered? Am I really focusing on the fact that this could be one way, but there's also a way to combine them in a sense that still obligates your school and still gives you that freedom to be a student-centered teacher. And hopefully one day it reflects so well that eventually the school wants to do it as much and get rid of the original testing or assessments that just kills our kids creatively and honestly, it just takes the heart away from learning. And then, the one that really challenged me was 675. That one I have to say, that's the one that really took me out, mentally from being an in-class teacher to being an outside teacher. However, it was also an easy segue for me because I care about teachers. I do, especially new ones and ones that I really want to like help get them navigate through the school. Because this is only my second year at my current school. And so honestly, I understood what it was like to transfer from one school and then you knew this one school's way and then you're transferring over to a new school and you're like, wait, this is me undoing a lot of things. How do I now focus in this school? What are their focuses? What is their everything? And so that was like that kind of like what sparked my whole thing on how I went through navigating 675 was what things that I went through that could help new teachers and also just really think about it in that way a sense and then also to knowing on how to help teachers undo their thinking on it's like hey student centered is not the way you went to school. Student centered is a little different. It's more so of taking the spotlight and turning it to the students or at least being able to share it with the students but giving them a little bit more light. Well, we're like about 25% light on us. And that was really the whole thing. And I'm actually really glad like that got to have that um opportunity to feel like a coach and what it meant to be one. And it really makes me more excited to possibly go in that direction. And even just possibly, hopefully one day my school will definitely have some kind of position like that where we're student centered because we do have inclusivity. We do have the department coaches. Um, and we have a data coach, but it would be really cool to have a student-centered one for the teachers that want to start being one or one that really focuses on that emphasis rather than just being general and being like, well, let's just have the students talk more, like accountable talk. And it's like, that's still not being student-centered. That's just letting students be have a little ownership. But, of course, it's a start. So that's my whole spill on how the journey of my class has been feeling. And I'm want to just definitely give a shout out to the both of you. Um, Dr. B and Mario, you have honestly been such a blessing in my journey. Um, I I'm so grateful I got to have you guys again. Honestly, you guys actually were the ones that made the most impact in my master's program journey, and I'm so glad that during my this next phase that you two are the two that I got to go through again and really learn from you folks one more time. So just thank you again. I appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing, and I can't wait to continue seeing you guys pour in to the next. Hopefully, we have the next cohort of Hawaii teachers learning from you folks as well. All right, thank you. Aloha.